The 805 Focus is brought to you in part by Nonprofit Connect. Nonprofit Connect provides superior leadership tools and resources so nonprofit leaders and board members can make valuable decisions to move their organization forward to a sustainable and vibrant future. More information on services online at nonprofitconnect.org.
Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cinder Sinclair with Nonprofit Connect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits. So get ready to be inspired. Our special guest today is Mimi Do, and Mimi is the CFO for the Music Academy of the West. Welcome, Mimi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh gosh, I'm so glad you're here. You folks do such good work over there, and I know you're going to tell us all about it. So please give us, maybe you'll start with an overview of the Music Academy.
Sure. Well, the Music Academy of the West is the premier, I would say, training summer festival for classically trained musicians. So these are, very high-level conservatory students and recent alumni of places you've probably heard of, like the Juilliard School or the Colburn School in Los Angeles. All the top schools for music. They come to Santa Barbara for 8 weeks in the summer, and they have a very intensive training program. We have singers, we do an opera, we have instrumentalists, violins, violas, cellos, pianos, trombones, and we bring in faculty, about 55 faculty from around the world, again, top in their field. And so these students have an opportunity to study with the best musicians in their field. And then they have an opportunity to perform for our community. We do 5 orchestra concerts in the summer, the opera, and then a slew of chamber concerts, recitals, and master classes, which for me are the most interesting because you sort of see the behind the scenes process of how, somebody becomes a world-class violinist. And it is really interesting to see these people who, are the best in their class, and they get the learning and the critique from their faculty. So it's a really amazing program. Every summer we do a concert at the Santa Barbara Bowl, our orchestra concerts at the Granada Theater, and then our chamber concerts and recitals are mostly on our beautiful campus in Montecito. In Hahn Hall and Lehman Hall. So it's a really amazing 8 weeks. And then throughout the rest of the year, we have other programs that are happening on campus and throughout the community. My favorite program is actually the Sing program, which is relatively new. We've been doing it for a few years, but it's a free youth choral program, which we run in 6 of the Santa Barbara elementary schools. And so they practice during the week at these 6 sites, and then once a month they all get together and they meet at the Music Academy for rehearsal. And most recently they just performed with the London Symphony Orchestra, which, as you can imagine, being like an 8-year-old learning how to sing program, to perform with Simon Rattle and the London Symphony is kind of an amazing thing that we were able to do. And so a lot in store for them as we continue to grow that program. So, we're working with the top young artists in their field, and then we're also sort of building a base of new musicians and music lovers through our Sing program.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Yes, yeah.
To build the new ones coming up.
Right. Well, that's you got to find them somewhere, and you have to, spark that joy and love for music at an early age. So.
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. So, how do the students that come to you for this 8 weeks, for example, how do they find out about you? How do you choose them?
Sure. Well, most of them, I think, In this world, it's there's a few festivals that students are ambling to get into, and so they usually hear about it from their peers at school, from their teachers, or just from like the general reputation in the kind of classical music world. And the process for getting in is, they submit an audition tape. They do they'll do before COVID, we did live auditions. Now we do a lot of them virtually, which actually makes it easier for more people to apply, which is great. We want to be accessible. And then our faculty choose from those candidates, the group that they're going to bring here and work with for the summer. And, in some cases, like with violins, we usually have a lot more because you need to have 10 to 20 violins to fill an orchestra. But for something like the flute, it's much more competitive, so we may only have 3 or 4. And in fact, for our harp, which I think we only had 1 student last summer for harp. So and a tuba, there's usually only 1 tuba player. And we were very fortunate that we had last year the first female tuba student at the Curtis Institute of Music, which is one of the, premier conservatories in the world. So that was very exciting that she chose to come to the Music Academy to study. Yeah.
Wow, that's just an astounding program. And once again, I love the one that's for the kids too, coming up, and that's relatively new, right? Yeah,
I think we started doing it in 2018, and obviously we had to sort of put a hold on it. They switched to online, which I think it was still great to provide that service, but there's obviously nothing compares to doing it in person. And it's really great. We have, I think, over 100 students participating. And I can't name all the schools because I'm relatively new to Santa Barbara, but there are several in Santa Barbara proper. We've got Isla Vista, we've got one in Carpinteria, and we also provide transportation for those students who are a little bit farther out so that they can get to the Music Academy, which is really great.
Good.
So our goal is to really make it easy for the kids to come. It's an after-school program, so it also gives them, gives the families an opportunity to put their kids somewhere where they can still be learning and having fun after school and while they're working. And it's a really great program, and especially since, a lot of our activity happens in the summer, it's great that we have this going on throughout the year.
Yeah.
And then in the fall, we always do a recruitment event to encourage families to sign up. And so last year we did what we called Spooky Sing, and the kids came and they, we had some Halloween activities, but then they learned some songs, and it's just really nice to have the community come into our campus.
So encourage families to sign up for this youth singing program? Oh.
Yes. So yes, they can go to our website, musicacademy.org, and just click on the link for Sing, and there'll be all the information they need to sign up. And even though the program started in January, we have children who are enrolling throughout the semester, which is great. And then we always try to incorporate them in whatever program we can. And after our very successful smash hit with the London Symphony, we've been approached by other organizations in town to collaborate with using the Sing Kids in their productions. So it's, again, just really great opportunity to have these kids, performing with the symphony or the opera, if that's, so who knows, sky's the limit for them. They have so much potential.
Gosh, and so you collaborate really with a lot of different organizations, nonprofits.
Yeah, well, I like to think that the Music Academy is small but mighty, and so we're always trying to find great partners to collaborate with, and also especially it's important for us to be a resource for the community. So people may not necessarily know where we are because we're kind of tucked away in Montecito, but our campus is open. It's lovely. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Even just for walking your dog, I encourage.
Yeah.
I don't know if my facilities team will like that, but I encourage the dog walking. But we have our campuses available for rentals for nonprofit organizations. We give a special discount, and we have meeting spaces, we have performing spaces. I've seen everything. I think even this weekend there's some kind of sports Hall of Fame honorary event or something. And so we get a lot of activity coming through just because we have the space and we really want to welcome everyone to it.
And so, do you folks use volunteers very much?
Yes, we use volunteers for our ushers. We are trying to bring in more volunteers to help with our Sing program, actually. So if you can imagine, we usually have what we call our site coordinators who help out in the classroom because, when you've got 20 children, you need as many adults as possible to help manage the crowd control. And then we also have our Women's Auxiliary, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're sort of a subgroup of the Music Academy that does a lot of volunteering for us to help with events, to help with pretty much everything that we might think we need extra hands on deck. Our auxiliary always step up. Plus, they throw fun parties.
Oh, good. That's important.
It is important. It's a great social activity, but it's also, and they're all sort of getting together, getting to know one another, having fun, and also supporting the Music Academy, which is great. And we love having them there. So, there's a lot of opportunities to get involved, either as an audience member, as a parent, as even, I oversee the Buildings and Grounds Committee, and so we even have volunteers who come and they walk the gardens with us and they give us recommendations on,
that's a good idea.
You can plant here or you can do this. So we're always, happy to have community input.
So if someone wants to find out, for example, how to be a volunteer, all the different opportunities, or even the programs that are going on, they can go on your website, and while they're there, they can push the Donate Now button and make a financial contribution, tax deductible, I might say.
That is very important. As the CFO, I do have to say, yes, you can find out all the information about the Music Academy at www.musicacademy.org. And yes, very importantly, you can make a tax-deductible contribution.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of different levels of giving and ways to give, whether it's, a $10 donation, $1 million is greatly accepted. We participate in a car donation vehicle program.
That's good. That's good.
We have a legacy giving for those who are thinking
long
into the future.
Yeah, that's good.
So there's a lot of different, and then of course we have benefit events and tickets. I mean, tickets aren't tax deductible, but of course any help that we get is great. And it's really an honor and a blessing to be able to work with such a great organization.
Yes, it is a wonderful organization. And so the students that come there and the faculty, do they come from all over the country?
All over the country and some internationally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the students we have, I want to say maybe 15% of them come from overseas. Mainly Europe and a lot from Asia, which is great. And then for faculty, I think most of our faculty are domestic, but we have a lot coming from all over, from New York, and we have a lot of, many come from like Houston, Austin. There's some big teaching conservatories there. So it's great to have people coming from all over, and we've even had some people settle down here after being here for a few summers. I know at least one faculty member. She moved here last year after having taught here for many years. So we're happy to have her in the community.
That is great. So do you provide housing for these folks?
We do. And actually that's another way that people get involved if they, as you know, Santa Barbara rental market is on fire these days. So yes, we house all of our faculty, and we also bring in staff for the summer. So we want to have the best artistic production team. So a lot of them come from the East Coast or from LA, and so we house everybody here. And then the students all are staying at Westmont College.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and
Right.
we've been, I'm not sure how many years that we've been there, but it's a great partnership with Westmont because, you know, it's relatively close to the Music Academy, and they have, you know, beautiful campus,
Yeah.
very similar feel to ours, so it
Yes,
feels
yes.
kind of like an extension of the two. So, yeah, so all of the fellows live at Westmont College, and it's great.
So, okay, so see if I understand. You go out, for the faculty, you go out into the community looking for rentals?
Yes, we have a lot of like long-term rentals where, you know, we've had faculty who've stayed in the
Oh,
same place
all
for
right.
many years. But then there's a whole, you know, one person's job is just finding all the housing for the summer because
Oof, that's a big
8
job.
weeks, about 60 people, it's a big job.
Yeah.
But it's really about, you know, having these relationships with these landlords, and again, it's just really great how many people are so supportive of the Music Academy.
Yeah, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a blessing you are to this community.
Oh, thank you.
So, Mimi, I'll bet you have a story or two you could share with us. All that going on over there.
Sure. Well, we did have a longtime employee who was great with all the ghost stories. I'm relatively new, so I don't have any ghost stories, but I think one of my favorite stories is of a fellow who came to the Music Academy and, you know, starving artist syndrome. She had something like $50 in her bank account. And she came to the Music Academy, had an amazing experience, and now she most recently was premiering at the Metropolitan Opera. And so
Oh
that is just like
gosh.
a complete, you know, success story of how the organization and the people who support it are really, you know, changing lives, impacting lives, and and we have several stories like that. That one is probably the most extreme.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But it is really amazing to see our fellows go on to have such great careers because it's not easy, and it's just really amazing when they come back. Also, we have. You know, we always try to bring back our fellows and our alumni for when, you know, for doing a concert or even if it's a, you know, a reception for something, we want to bring in musicians who have come through the Music Academy and just, you know, constantly helping them develop their careers. And that's actually a really important part of our program that I didn't even talk about yet, which is our innovation curriculum. So not only are these students learning how to be the best, you know, clarinetist in their field, but we also give them kind of the tools and the training to understand how to really live a professional life, a professional career as a musician. And you know, because the traditional path used to be you go to conservatory, you get a job in an orchestra, and you're kind of set for life. But you know, the reality of it is that there aren't that many orchestras, there aren't as many orchestras as there are musicians coming out of school, and so they have to become more creative with how they develop a sustainable career. So we really try to bring in advisors in our field and also outside of our field to really help these students develop, you know, kind of innovative career paths. And a lot of it, you know, these days it's all about technology and how they use technology to, you know, keep moving forward and keep the field moving forward. And then another area that we're really exploring is, you know, when you have a classical music training, you learn a lot of skills that are valuable outside of the field of music. And so, you know, we're always looking for those kind of synergies where we can connect, you know, somebody like one of our fellows or our alumni with people in, you know, in other worlds, whether they're corporate, you know, or government or whatever it may be, because the kind of creative and strategic thinking that you learn is applicable in all fields. So it's really exciting, and it's, you know, and when you look at the whole package of what we do, it's not just, you know, putting on concerts and playing Beethoven, although that's a really important part of it and the part that I really love, but really developing these students in a way that they're not getting in their traditional curriculum in college, so that they're really learning life skills. I wish someone had taught me some life skills in college.
Gosh,
but
we have just run out of time. And Mimi, I would love to sit here all day and listen to that, because you have some great stories, and I love what you're doing in our community.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for being on our show. We appreciate that a lot.
Great, thank you.
And thank you for joining us on 805 Focus. We'll see you next time.